The creepers were four desperate friends chasing internet fame. Rick, Diane, Cora, and Vern had spent months pulling risky stunts for their YouTube channel, but no matter how daring the videos got, the views barely trickled in. Frustration was turning into despair, and their morale was crumbling. One day, after a heated argument, their fifth member, JD, stormed out and left the group. Now, only four remained. Determined to blow up overnight, Rick told the others about the Paragon Hotel, an abandoned luxury resort sitting on the edge of the ocean. Rumors said a mob crew had hidden $300 million inside its walls decades ago, but anyone who went in searching for the money never came out. Locals whispered that something monstrous lived in the decaying halls. At first, the group hesitated. The stories were terrifying, but the promise of viral fame and life-changing money was stronger than their fear. They decided to go. At the same time, Diane saw a new video from JD. He and his new crew were openly mocking the creepers, laughing at how their channel was failing. Rage boiled inside her. Without telling the others, she dropped a comment on his post. "We're hitting the Paragon Hotel tomorrow night. 300 million reasons to show up. Bet you don't have the courage." Hours later, as the four friends packed their cameras, ropes, and flashlights, a loud knock echoed at the door. Rick opened it to find a stranger standing there. "I'm Frank," the man said. "I saw your comment online. I'm coming with you." The group was furious at Diane for leaking the location. They didn't trust Frank and suspected he might be an undercover agent, but Frank's eyes were heavy with pain. He explained that months earlier, his journalist wife had entered the hotel with her secretary while investigating the same hidden fortune. Neither of them had ever returned. He wasn't after the money. He just wanted to find his wife. Moved by his story, they finally agreed to let him join. Under the cover of darkness, the five of them reached the Paragon Hotel. The massive building loomed against the crashing waves, its windows boarded up and its walls covered in faded warnings. They slipped inside through a narrow basement tunnel, crawling on their hands and knees through dust and debris until they reached a confusing loop of corridors. The main path was completely blocked by piles of collapsed junk. While Rick, Vern, Cora, and Frank started clearing the rubble, Diane grew impatient. She took a different, narrower passage and slipped inside the hotel alone. Excited, she turned on her live stream. "Creepers Nation, we're in," she whispered with a grin. $300 million, and whatever else is waiting for us." Her smile vanished almost instantly. Strange scraping and clicking sounds echoed through the dark halls. They didn't sound human. "Guys, if this is a joke, it's not funny," she called out. Before she could run, her foot slipped on the slick floor. She crashed hard. In the next second, a pale, elongated creature burst from the shadows. Its clawed hands grabbed her, and Diane's scream was cut short as it dragged her into the abyss. Her live stream went dead. The rest of the group finally cleared the rubble and entered the main area. They called for Diane, but her phone went straight to voicemail. Vern noticed deep scratch marks on the wall and filmed them nervously. Worried, they split up to search for her. In the chaos, Rick's leg was badly injured on sharp metal. He cried out in pain. The others rushed to help him, but he could barely walk. They supported him as they moved forward. Soon they entered a disturbing hall. In the center stood a strange, dead tree-like structure. Its twisted branches were draped with dozens of abandoned phones, cameras, and electronic devices, like trophies collected from previous victims. Suddenly, their eyes landed on Diana's phone dangling from one of the twisted branches of the grotesque tree. Heart pounding, they grabbed it and hit play. The grainy footage showed Diana sprinting desperately through the dark hallways, her face twisted in pure terror. The group froze, adrenaline surging through their veins. Without wasting another second, they bolted forward, frantically searching for Diana once more. Suddenly, JD burst in with his two erratic friends, Barry, a wild-eyed maniac, and Mac. Barry immediately took control, pointing a weapon and demanding the $300 million. Rick tried to explain they hadn't found any money yet, but Barry didn't care. In a fit of rage, he grabbed Rick and hurled him off a high railing, sending him plummeting several floors down. Mocking them, Barry forced Cora, Vern, and Frank to keep searching for the cash at gunpoint. As they moved a little further ahead, Cora's eyes suddenly caught sight of Rick lying motionless in the shadows. Heart racing, she leaped forward desperately. But the moment she got close and saw him, horror slammed into her. It wasn't Rick at all. It was just a lost soul, wasted away to nothing, still wearing his torn clothes. Barry's cruel laughter echoed down. He left Cora standing there, frozen in shock, and continued pushing the others forward in search of the money. Meanwhile, Barry and Mac found a locked room that looked promising. When they forced open an old cabinet, they didn't find money. Instead, they discovered the secretary who had gone missing with Frank's wife, somehow still alive after all these months. Before they could react, terrifying sounds filled the room. The secretary warned them that their lives were in danger. Barry and JD panicked. They put on night vision goggles and started firing wildly. In the chaos, the creature appeared. JD was taken instantly. Barry kept shooting blindly, scaring the creature away for a moment, but his reckless actions also claimed the life of the innocent secretary. Alone and terrified, Cora wandered until she found Rick hiding in a side room. He had survived the fall but was badly injured. Before they could speak, the clicking returned. Closer this time. They scrambled to hide. Cora squeezed into a narrow wardrobe, holding her breath until her lungs burned. Rick slid painfully under a dusty bed. The creature entered, its long fingers tapping the floor as it sniffed the air like a hound. Its milky eyes scanned the room. It moved straight to the wardrobe and slowly pulled the doors open. Cora's heart hammered. At the last second, Rick exploded from under the bed and slammed into the creature, buying her a precious few seconds. She bolted, sprinting through twisting halls until she reached an old service elevator. Her fingers flew over the controls as the creature's claws scraped the grills behind her. The doors finally groaned shut just as its pale hand reached for her. The lift jerked upward, carrying her to safety. Cora burst into the hotel's old security room, where banks of flickering CCTV monitors showed grainy feeds from every corridor. On one screen, she saw Diane, still alive, locked in an upper room. The creature hadn't ended her. It seemed obsessed, circling her almost possessively, as if preparing some twisted offering. At the same time, Barry finally located the hidden fortune in a reinforced vault room. Greed consumed him as he frantically stuffed stacks of cash into duffel bags. Mac, overwhelmed by pure terror, abandoned him and fled. He didn't get far. An invisible tripwire of razor-sharp filaments sliced across his path, striking him down. The creature finished him moments later in a blur of pale limbs. Before Barry could escape with the money, the creature returned. His greed sealed his fate. The monster dragged him away as he screamed, bags of cash spilling across the floor like worthless confetti. Frank and Vern, fleeing through the halls, discovered Mac's abandoned bag and found a working two-way radio inside. Cora's voice crackled through, guiding them step by step, warning them of blind corners and suspicious shadows. They reached the old kitchen and barricaded the door. The only escape was a rickety dumbwaiter lift operated by ropes. Frank sent Vern up first. Vern strained every muscle and finally reached the upper floor safely. When Frank's turn came, the creature smashed through the kitchen door in a shower of splinters. Frank dove into the lift and began hauling himself upward, rope burning his palms. The creature lunged, its claws raking the metal. "Cut it!" Frank shouted. Vern slashed the rope with a knife. Frank dropped to the second floor just in time as the creature plummeted with the broken lift, crashing far below. Moments later, Frank found his wife in a hidden chamber. Her condition was heart-wrenching after seeing her frank mind shattered from whatever ordeals his wife had endured. Grief and fury ignited in him. He vowed to stop the creature. Reuniting with Cora and Vern, they checked the monitors again. What they saw turned their stomachs. The creature had not harmed Diane. It had become fixated on her, draping her in strange, eerie decorations as if claiming her for some dark bond. Diane suddenly fought back with desperate fury, smashing something into the creature's face and breaking free. Frank charged in to help. As the monster lunged for her, Frank tackled it with all his remaining strength. Locked together, they tumbled over the edge of a collapsed balcony. Both plummeted into the void below. Frank sacrificed everything to ensure Diane's escape. Diane collapsed against the railing, sobbing at the man who had given his life for her without hesitation. Cora's voice came over the radio, telling her that Rick had fallen saving her earlier. Heart shattered, Diane demanded his last location and sprinted through the halls. She found him lying motionless. Tears streaming, she knelt beside him, only for Rick to suddenly gasp and open his eyes. He had been unconscious. With the creature finally gone, the four surviving friends, Rick, Diane, Cora, and Vern, managed to escape the Paragon Hotel alive. As soon as they reached safety, their recorded footage went viral like wildfire. Clips of their terrifying night inside the haunted hotel racked up millions of views overnight. The creepers became famous across the country. Brands, interviews, and opportunities poured in. Their lives had finally changed, but none of them would ever forget the nightmare they had survived inside the Paragon Hotel.